In this second video in the AI for non-technical CxOs, we're going to start looking at what the business impact of AI can be in your organization. And this is why it is so important that for non-technical CxOs, that could be a chief executive officer, a chief financial officer, chief operating officer, anyone that's outside of that deep technical experience, to understand how the structure and the economics of our companies are going to change so drastically over the coming years. First off, let's just take a look at the organizational structure. What does it mean to be a company? Those of you Latin scholars will know that company, the word company, comes from companio, which was a Latin phrase for one who breaks bread with you. It's about a group of people coming together and formed a company. That got translated into military scenarios and a group of people, a company going after a specific objective, before ultimately being transferred into how we think about our business organizations, a company, a group of people aligned with one mission. But what does it mean if many of those people are no longer actually people? They're actually digital agents performing a lot of that work. When I think about an organization today, we often think about a pyramid. Probably you yourself up at the top with your senior leaders, going down to some middle managers and high performers in the middle, and then a much larger number of lower level individual contributors that are working in knowledge work or out in the field, working in factories. But moving forwards, what does it look like if a significant portion of this work down at the bottom is actually being done by AI? Well, there's a couple of opportunities that you've got. The first is efficiency. And that is, you're going to take the existing structure that you've got, but instead of it all being people, you will likely have a diamond shape instead of a pyramid shape. So, people. You'll still have your senior leaders up at the top, but they'll be very much supported by AI. You'll have this larger amount of very highly skilled and supported people in the middle of your team. But as you get down towards the bottom, maybe it's going to get thinner rather than thicker, because these people are going to be supported by AI platforms. So if you imagine a high performer who might be, a senior leader or a senior performer, where they might have previously gone and used associates or juniors to carry out some of the repetitive and more manual work. Think about business analysis, think about reporting, think about content creation, think about testing in a technical environment. A lot of this work is just going to be carried out by AI and AI agents. And therefore, it's actually the people up here that are using the AI rather than you needing to have large numbers of these more junior people. So think about that model going from a pyramid to more of a diamond shape. So I said about efficiency. Efficiency is where you keep the same level of output, but you're now doing it with a lower cost base because you've stripped out a large amount of these people. The other scenario is growth. Well, imagine if you just keep the same people budget, but instead the diamond is just bigger. So you've moved the way that you're resourcing your people from being much more bottom heavy to being much more middle heavy, supported in the same way by a lot of AI and AI agents. So you have a decision to make as senior leaders. There is a big transformation coming. It is going to disrupt how we staff our organizations and the types of skills that we need. And are we going to cash in on that efficiency and drop some money to the bottom line in the short term? Or are we going to reconfigure how we hire our people and actually build ourselves up to scale into the future and to dominate our specific industries. So that's a little bit about the workforce structure and how that's going to work. And now let's take a little look at what that might mean to our income statement. So I've drawn this up just to save me the time of doing it before or doing it now. So we have our revenue. Off our revenue comes our cost of goods sold, and that gives us our gross profit. Off our gross profit comes our R&D and our SG&A expenses, and that gives us our operating profit. Then comes interest, then comes tax, and we finally end up with our net income. And whatever industry you're in, you're following a similar process. So how's AI going to impact our income statement? Well, the first thing that you're probably thinking about is that efficiency. How can we save money by using AI to be more efficient and to strip out the amount of people cost that we've got? So that might be in your cost of goods sold. So it might be in your factories. It might be in your delivery of how you're going to actually deliver your products out to your customers. It might be about your support. So you might be thinking about some kind of chatbot, so you don't need to have big contact centers. These are immediate efficiency gains that you can have in the cost of delivering your product or service to your customers. Next, you might have R&D. Are there ways that you can reduce the cost of bringing your products to market? And AI has a number of use cases there about speeding up and automating those processes. Next up, sales, general and administration. All of those additional costs around HR, around finance, around purchasing, around your sales teams, all of these additional costs that it takes to get a customer to the point of buying one of your products. And there are loads of use cases coming out about automating some of those sales, those marketing, and those internal processes that you can bring the cost down. So those are the three main areas. And this is where so much of the early proof of concepts and even production use cases for AI are sitting. How do we strip cost out of the business? But one thing that you will know with all of these, there is a natural flaw. You can only cut so much, and suddenly you've run out of ideas. And so what I would challenge you to think about is actually where the real value of AI comes. And it's not about cutting. It's about growing your revenue. And that is through thinking about new or differentiated ways of delivering your value proposition out to your customers. Are there new products or services that you can create that are going to completely transform your customers' perception of what it is that you do? Is there data or knowledge or information that your company is sat on? Maybe it's not even being tracked today. But if you were to perceive that information, if you were to synthesize it, you could then infer new products and services for your customers that they would pay for. Can that move you from selling one-time transactions into subscriptions? Can it change from selling for £10 or dollars a month to 100 or 1,000? This is where so much of the value of AI is sitting. And as we'll talk about in tomorrow's lesson, we'll start to think about how do we come up with those ideas. This is difficult because this is about coming up with something new that doesn't exist today. These are easy. You know what this process costs, and you know that if you can save 10% on it, you know what that is going to drop down to your net income. This is hard, but this is where the value is. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow.